Hey Eurovision fans, it's Tom Kunti from Dublin. I'm back for another Eurovision analysis video. Today I'm going to be discussing the results of the OGAE 2023 fan vote. Of course, I'm going to talk about the winner, but more importantly, I'm going to be talking about who did better than expected, who did worse than expected, and crucially, what do the results of the OGAE vote mean for how people do at Eurovision. So let's kiki. Okay, so if you don't know what the OGAE is, it is the largest fan club involved in Eurovision. There's 42 different clubs. Most of them are Eurovision countries, but we also have a Turkey and a rest of the world club. They get all their members to give their rankings from 1st to 10th, and then points are given in the usual Eurovision format. Those are all added together, and then the club gives their combined points together, kind of like in the same way that the televote is done, but the numbers are a lot smaller, obviously. So in total this year, there were 4,853 people voting. It was actually 54 because I also voted. I'm a member of the Irish OGAE, but my vote didn't count. I think I clicked it twice and my vote registered twice, so they cancelled me. I know that because I'm the only person in Ireland who would have voted for Serbia. 4,854, that's quite a lot of people. And then the results are revealed kind of like 1 or 2 a day during April. It's a pretty fun, exciting thing to do during what is traditionally a down period in the season. April's pretty quiet. So most people will be voting on national final performances or music videos. These are Eurovision fans as opposed to a jury, so they can see as much different performances as they want. Maybe some people are just voting it based on the studio version. So I think that the demographics of OGAE overlap quite a lot with the Eurovision scoreboard. So you do see quite a lot of repetition in who gets points. If you've seen any of my previous videos on that subject, you know that there is a tendency towards more upbeat female bop songs, which is why some of the results this year were kind of surprising and interesting. It's also a little bit different from Eurojury. You may have seen I posted a video about the Eurojury recently, which is a mock jury poll where they use small amounts of people for each country, whereas OGAE, the numbers are bigger. So it's a little bit more like the televote as opposed to Eurojury, which is obviously more like the jury vote in Eurovision. Now, the effect of having more people is the majority speaks a lot more often. So you get a bit more of consensus. You get the same countries getting points every single time, as opposed to when you use a jury, you give more of a voice to the minority and you get a little bit more variance in who receives points. Despite that, I still think OGAE is kind of fun and interesting, and as I'm going to talk about later, it does have some useful correlations for seeing how are people going to actually do in the final contest. So the winner this year was, shocker, it was Lorraine from Sweden. Now look, no prizes if you guess that this is what was going to happen before. She was already winning the Eurovision scoreboard, and we know that this is the type of song that the Eurovision fans really love. I'm really excited to see, are people outside of the Eurovision bubble going to love it to the same degree, because I think that's quite a vital thing to get enough televote points. We know she's going to do well with the jury. I have to admit now, at the start I thought that she was going to get 12s from absolutely everybody, because she won the first 5 jury votes from France, Slovenia, Cyprus, Spain and Turkey. So I was like, okay, is she literally going to do a clean sweep of the whole thing? Luckily she didn't, and actually it ended up being quite close, because at one point after 28 votes had been released, Gary actually took the lead for a short period, had around a 10-point lead. In the end though, Lorraine did win by around 29 points, not around 20 points, exactly 29 points. So yeah, Carrie in second with 394. So Gary and Lorraine were the only 2 people who received votes from every single club, all 42 clubs, obviously, well, 42 minus 1 because they can't vote for themselves. We had a couple other countries who were really close as well. Austria received votes from everyone but North Macedonia and Latvia. France received votes from everyone but Ukraine and Croatia, and Norway received points from everyone but Luxembourg and Romania. So quite a few countries who were really dominating. Really, it was the same kind of 8 countries getting points from everybody, and then you have a couple of sprinkling of other random people. So yeah, that is something that can tend to happen with OGAE. So that's why I was trying to work really hard to make it a little bit more interesting on my Twitter account. Okay, in terms of 12s, the majority of them went to Lorraine. She got 21 12s. Gary got 14 12s. Lazare for France had 5, and then Norway had 1 and Italy had 1. So yeah, pretty uninteresting results. Thank God this isn't the actual results in Eurovision or being extremely repetitive, basically just cutting between Gary and Lorraine receiving lots and lots of 12s. Hopefully the actual Eurovision is more exciting. Again, this is why I love juries in Eurovision, because it varies up who gets 12s. Okay, so other countries, France ended up coming 3rd, Norway in 4th. No big surprises here. Austria in 5th. I have to admit, I was expecting Austria to be 3rd in this. You know, they are 3rd in the Eurovision scoreboard right now, so a little bit less, but they weren't exactly far off. But yeah, I was expecting this to do a bit better. It only got 1 second place finish, and that was from Armenia. No 12 points from anybody, so a little bit disappointing. I hope that this isn't the type of song that everyone likes, but nobody loves loves the most. There are lots of people who like it. I've seen lots of people giving it 12s in the poll on my channel. But yeah, it could be one of those songs that just gets lots of medium points from everyone, and that's not enough. You do need to be hitting a few 12s. I remember that happening with Alina Bjorn and Stig Rested. They got points from pretty much everyone, but they got no 12s. I remember that happening in Azerbaijan as well with 2009. Arash and Hazel, they got points from pretty much everybody, but they only got 112. So yeah, you do need to be hitting that top. So I hope that's not an indication of what could happen to Austria in the competition. Okay, let's keep going through the top 10. So Italy in 6th. This was a big surprise for me, but I wonder, is this what's actually going to happen at Eurovision? Is this going to be a song that does really well with the televote, or is this more just in the niche of the OGE demographic? Okay, 7th place was the UK. Again, a song we would expect to do well. It's also been doing well on the Eurovision scoreboard. 8th place was Czechia. Again, dropping. I think maybe if the pre-party stuff hadn't happened, this might have been a little bit higher, because we've seen that Czech has been losing some momentum and a little bit of traction on the Eurovision scoreboard. So perhaps if the poll had been done at a different period, like earlier on, they actually would have been higher up. No 12s for them. Their best result was a 10 from Bulgaria. Okay, in 9th place was Israel, and then in 10th place was Spain. So Spain doing okay with the televote. I have to admit now, people are saying this, potentially this can win, and in my Dark Horses video, I said the thing I'm concerned about the most is the televote. People are saying, don't worry, people are going to absolutely love this. On the flip side though, with the OGAE, which is people who are really receptive, really open to different sounding songs, and especially female songs as well, the fact that this came 10th is a little bit concerning for me, because I think the OG population is even more open to weirdness and esoteric songs than the general public might be. OG is not always right, but I think her getting a few more points would have given me a little bit more reassurance that this can do well with the televote. So of the top 10, my biggest surprise honestly would be Italy doing so well. I didn't think that they would be up in 6th, and I got points from like pretty much every single country except for Ukraine, Australia, Armenia, Albania, and Bulgaria. So most of those are Eastern European countries. Oh, none from Albania. That can't be right. I'm going to check that because Albania usually loves Italy. Oh my God. That's so weird. Yeah, no, that's correct. Albania didn't give any points to Italy. Their club only had 10 votes in it though, so. Okay, let's go through the lower results and see if there's any other surprises there. So in 11th was Slovenia, 12th Moldova. Moldova doing better, good, because usually Moldova do really bad in the OG. Hey Mama got 0 points. Dorado's got 2 points. Trinatul also got 0 points. So yeah, Moldova tends to do really badly. So the fact that they actually got 32 points in 12th place was good. Switzerland in 13th, doing a little bit better than expected. Ballady song. Belgium also doing better than expected as well. You can see now as we get down here, the points are really super low. Okay, Serbia in 15th. I have to admit I was a little bit sad about this. You know, this is my favorite song this year. It didn't get any points from Ireland. My 12 points didn't make any difference. I think it came 18th in the Irish vote. Yeah, so a little bit sad about that. Don't worry, I'm going to go through the stats of what your actual OJ points mean in terms of qualifications, so don't get too dismayed yet. That bit's coming up later. Cyprus in 16th, Portugal 17th, Armenia 18th, so not really a massive conversion from the kind of like hype and like talk about this potentially being a dark horse. I would hope that it would have done a little bit better if that was the case, but they still got their staging to come through. Maybe they're going to bring something big. I thought their staging last year was really lovely, so they can elevate it. Estonia 19th, getting a couple of points, and then Lithuania 20th. So my big surprises from 11th to 20th. I think Belgium doing a little bit better than expected, you know, considering that this was like got a lot of negative atmosphere when it was chosen in Eurosong way back, I think in early February. Yeah, and then Serbia, I think, doing a little bit worse than I was expecting him to. I was expecting him to just break into the top 10. Okay, let's go through 21 down to the bottom. So we've got Netherlands, they got 5 points. Azerbaijan got 4 points. Australia, Georgia, both 3 points. Germany, Malta, and Poland both receiving 2. And then Croatia and Greece both receiving 1. So Georgia, a lot less than I expected. That's definitely my biggest surprise there. I thought that Georgia would be much more in contention. Despite the fact on Eurovision scoreboard, they're not really so high. This is kind of the song I would expect the OG fans to maybe enjoy, but no, they don't. Quite clearly there. I think she got points from only one country. She got 2 points from Armenia and 1 point from Ukraine. Okay, so that kind of regional sound tapping into those OGAE clubs. And then let's go through the 0 pointers. Now this is interesting. We've had lots of songs famously get 0 points before, but actually ended up doing pretty good. We know Amanada with Love Injected in 2015 got 0 points in OG, and she came 6th. Hey Mama, another one. The Black Mamba from Portugal also got 0 points and ended up coming 12th. And then last year's breakout superstar Rosa Lynn with Snap also got 0. So getting 0 is definitely not a disaster, don't worry. But I think you've had a choice between being top 5 in the OG and getting 0 points points. I think the majority of people would rather get the top 5 placing. So there are 8 countries who got 0 points this year. That's actually better than normal. Usually it's around 10 to 12. This is actually the least amount of zeros we've had in all the years that I analyzed. So we had Albania with 0, Denmark, Iceland, Ireland, Latvia, Romania, San Marino, and Ukraine. Nothing for Ukraine. I was ready to talk about that. That is still my 5th ranked song. Now, most of those countries are doing pretty badly in Eurovision scoreboard. I'd say Latvia is the standout one. That's actually around 17th and it's climbing. I think it's 8th out of the countries in semi-final number 1. So a little bit disappointed with that. I think the rest, no massive surprises. I thought perhaps Denmark would pick up 1 or 2 points, but like generally the fact that we've got less zeros than normal is pretty good. Okay, so now the important thing, what do these results actually mean? So let's go back and look through a couple of years. Let's look at last year first, where we have on the left side, we have the OGA result and who the country was and who was the singer in the song. And on the right side, I'm gonna have the final scoreboard and we're gonna look and see the differences. So last year, Cornelia won and she ended up coming 4th. So, you know, she finished top 5. Brividi were 2nd in the OGE vote and then came 6th in the competition. So again, top 10. Slow-Mo came 3rd in both OGE and in the actual competition. So far seems like a pretty good predictor of who actually does well. The stick out one there from last year is Foulen from France. They were 6th in OGE and ended up coming 25th. So you can see that if you look down, minus 18 on the rank difference. Let's look at that rank difference. Who are the songs that did better and worse? So Moldova, 15 places higher in actual Eurovision. They got 6 points, but then they got a lot more points than actual Eurovision and ended up coming 2nd in the televote. Serbia as well doing much better. This was 14th in OGE and ended up coming 5th in actual Eurovision. And then of course, Ukraine winning. They came 11th in OGE, and Joker Out actually posted about that because Joker Out came 11th this year. So they posted a cute little tweet kind of suggesting that that was the winning slot last year. Okay, down the other side, we can see songs that were kind of overrated a little bit by the fans. Austria came 10th with Halo in the OGE and ended up coming 36th in the actual competition, so 26 places lower. And then Albania, 9th in OGE, but ended up coming 30th, so 21 places lower, and she didn't qualify. Let's go to 2021. What are the big differences here? So let's look at the top 3. Destiny came 7th, John's Tears came 3rd, and Baba Pravi came 2nd. So this was pretty good. They got 2 out of the top 3 correct. Actual winners, Måneskin came 8th in the OGE, so they were 7 places higher in the actual Eurovision. Iceland and Finland also doing 8 places better than their OGE result. But the biggest song that was underestimated was Portugal. As I said, they got 0 points in OGE, ended up coming 12th, so 18 places higher than expected. Who was the most overrated song? And again, it's 2 solo female artists. So the first of those was San Marino. She came 22nd in actual Eurovision, but she was 6th in OGE. And then Brooke and Roxanne both overestimated by 15 places. 2020, there was no competition, so we don't know. 2019, so Soldi came 2nd, Luca Hani came 4th, and Duncan Lawrence came 1st. So actually they got 3 out of the top 4 correct. So that's really, really quite accurate. Let's look at the big ones that were wrong that year. Australia, Kate Miller-Heidke was 29th with OGE, but she ended up coming 9th in the competition. Obviously now her spectacular staging, which elevated the song a lot, was not known to the AGE before they voted. And Czechia also doing better, so that's Friend of a Friend. They were 24th in the OGE result, but actually ended up coming 11th, and they would have done a lot better if they hadn't been given that awful running order. I think they were 2nd, which I thought was crazy because they came 2nd in their semi-finals, so they should have been given 2nd or 3rd in their semi-finals, so they should have been given a much better running order than that. I thought that was really, really unfair because their televote just killed them. Okay, and finally, quick look at 2018. So Toy won. So the OGE got it right this year. Mercy in 2nd, but that ended up coming 13th in the competition. And Monsters from Finland came 10th in its semi-final, just qualified in by the nip of its bud, which isn't a phrase, but by the skin of its teeth. And then ended up coming, I think, 2nd last. Yeah, 2nd last. She came 25th. So yeah, that was the last year that OGE got it right. And actually, if you look at the last 9 years, that's the only time that OGE has predicted the winner correctly. It's not a prediction poll. That's not the purpose. It's just voting for your favorite. But I'm just looking and seeing myself, is there predictive quality to it? And not really. 11% of the time it predicts the winner. But will it turn things around this year? If Lorraine wins, that'll be 2 out of 10. So up to 20% that it's gotten it right in the last 10 years. Obviously now they're looking at different things. People voting at Eurovision have got the full package. They see all the staging, all the performance, the vocal quality, everything. Whereas people voting in OGE are voting with different information. So it's not going to be a perfect correlation, of course.
So considering that the OGE tends to favour female artists and the pop music genre in general, this actually makes Garia leading and eventually coming second even more impressive. If you told me last year that in 2023 we would have a predominantly rap song coming second in OGE, I would have told you that you were insane.
Now the interesting thing is, let's look and see how does your OGE score correlate with whether you qualify or not. So what I did was I went back to those last 4 years that I talked about, and I looked at what happens when you get a certain amount of points, what's your percentage rate of qualification. So if you get over 100 points in OGE, your qualification rate is 92%. So 24 people qualified and 2 didn't, and those 2 didn't both came from 2018. They were Senek, who came 7th in OGE, and Yanni Terzi, who came 8th in OGE. So both of those didn't qualify from their semi-finals in Eurovision. Everyone else who got over 100 points did qualify. So for this year, that would mean that Sweden, Finland, Norway, Austria are all qualifying. Not very useful information. I'm sure you already worked out that those people were already qualifying, but don't worry, there's more coming up now. Let's look at what happens if you get 50 to 99 points. So that's an 81% qualification rate. So 13 of them qualified and 3 didn't. Let's look at those 3 who didn't. They are Ronella from Albania last year, and Austria Halo from last year, and Ella from Andamaki last year. So all 3 of them were from last year. And you will notice as well that all 5 of those, so the 2 I mentioned in the first example and the 3 in the second example, all 5 of those are single female songs. So if you get over 50 points and you are a male artist, you don't need to worry. If you have over 50 points in OGE and you are a female, you are not completely safe yet. Now those 3, I would say their kind of stagings weren't great. Obviously, Halo had the vocal problems. I think Andromachi's staging, it wasn't terrible. I just think it was a little bit too static and underwhelming, relying a little bit too much on Pretty. And then, Ronaldo's staging was just not good, full stop. Okay, so that's still pretty good though, 81% chance. Now, what does that mean for this year? Well, the people who got between 50 and 99 points this year were Spain, already qualified, Israel, Noah Corel, and Czechia, Vesna. Now, again, Noah Corel and Vesna are... Well, they're not solo female. Noah's a solo female, so she's not totally in the clear. Group females, I don't know, it hasn't happened before, but if we just go by gender, yeah, they're not totally in the safe yet. But as I said earlier, generally you want more OGA points, the better. Okay, let's look at the next group. That is people who got between 1 and 49 points. So in this group, 59% of them qualified. So that's kind of around the average. It's usually between 55 and 60%, depending on the size of the semi-final. So 32 people qualified from that and 22 didn't. I'm not going to go to all 22, but let's just look at this year, applying that 60%. So by that same standard, 60% of these people will qualify. Greece, Croatia, Poland, Malta, Germany's already qualified, Georgia, Australia, Azerbaijan, Netherlands, Lithuania, Estonia, Armenia, Portugal, Cyprus, Serbia, Belgium, Switzerland, Moldova, and Slovenia. So approximately 60% of them will qualify based on what's happened in the last 4 years. Okay, that seems about right. Now let's look at this last group, these poor people who got 0 points. There's 8 of them. What is the qualification rate for those people who get 0 points? It's 24%, so 1 in 4. So yeah, actually the OGE is pretty good at picking out who actually does really, really well and who does not well and doesn't qualify. And it kind of makes sense. If you've got a really good, great song that's got a broad appeal to everyone, it's going to appeal to the demographics in OGE, but also the demographics who watch Eurovision as well. Likewise, if you've got a dire song that people in the OGE don't like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're out, because it might just be something that doesn't click with them, but you'd much rather have something that has that broad appeal that clicks with everybody. So with that in mind, we have Albania, Denmark, Iceland, Ireland, Latvia, Romania, San Marino, and Ukraine. We know that Ukraine are already through. So of those remaining 7, we would guess that maybe 1 or 2 of them will qualify. My money would be on Denmark. But who knows, if Ireland can build up a little bit of momentum. Albania's got a great running slot. Denmark as well, apparently coming with something big. Okay, so look, at the end of the day, what this shows is that generally doing better in OGE is actually... you want to do better. If I had the choice between winning OGE and not winning OGE, I think I'd take winning OGE. Who knows, that might happen next year. Yeah, but the key thing for me is that qualification. The more points you get, basically, the more likely you are to qualify. And once you have more than 100 points, you are basically immune. And if you've got over 50 points, if you are a man, you are also in pretty good shape as well. Okay, so that is what I thought about the OGA results and my little bit of a sneaky, delicious dive into previous years to see what kind of patterns there are in terms of results. Let me know if you noticed anything from when I popped the stats up on the screen. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Shout out to Gazaruni, ESC Southwark and Gabe for supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee, and 60 Sil and Eurovision Investor for supporting me in Super Chats. Your support is really appreciated. I am trying out full-time content creation now, so yeah, thank you for keeping me going. If you like this analysis video and you want to see some more, I will leave some here for you. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and thanks so much for watching. I'm seeing another Eurovision analysis video very soon. Goodbye.